Checkpoints into the town of Jasper have been lifted, but only residents and business owners are allowed back in to access the damage caused by the wildfire last month. As CBC's Terry Reith tells us, measures are remaining in place to keep visitors out for now.
We got an update from officials this morning that did include some encouraging news. First off, that fire, 33,000 hectare fire that ripped through Jasper a month ago, is now officially being held. It doesn't mean it's out of control, but it means that it's not growing anymore, and officials are confident that it is not causing any more threats to communities or any populated areas. So that's one bit of good news. Now, for travelers going east to west through the Rocky Mountains, Highway 16, the Yellowhead Highway, has finally been reopened to traffic. It had been open during certain hours to allow commercial traffic through, but now people can go through. But do not stop in Jasper. We'll get to that in a second. Highway 93, that's the Icefields Parkway. That takes you from Jasper to Banff, one of the most iconic drives in all of Canada. Takes you past the Columbia Icefields. Officials are talking about reopening that route in about 2 to 3 days. There is still some debris on the road. The park gates were burned down. There is a lot of damage in that area, but they are optimistic that that drive will be reopened. Now, let's talk about Jasper. The roadblocks came down this morning, but it is still not open to anyone other than residents or contractors or people who are helping out the residents. You know, if you're a tourist, don't show up in Jasper expecting to be able to pitch a tent or get some accommodation. Christine Nadon, the incident commander, says that it is very restricted now as to who still gets in.
We have a strong RCMP presence in town right now, and they are patrolling and they are interacting with folks and a bit on a public relations mission to approach people and speak with them and sort of figure out if they don't look like they're residents and they shouldn't be there, or they're not a service provider that are helping businesses or visitors to resume occupancy or business continuity, that they are directed to move on.
So there is a bit of good news if you do want to visit Jasper National Park, though. Some parts in the eastern part of the park, before you get to Jasper, between Hinton and Jasper, Myatt Hot Springs, you mentioned Abby, that has been reopened. Limited hours from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., but that area is open, and it looks like the beginning of some good news and a trend towards getting some people back into this park.
And Terry, some residents and business owners are returning to the community. What has some of their experiences been like?
Yeah, Abby, it's a town of about 5,000 people. Not nearly that many have gone back. We do know that as of yesterday, 800 had registered with the support center there. Richard Ireland, he is the mayor of Jasper, and he is one of the many people who lost their homes. He is saying that while people are coming back, it's a very bittersweet experience to get back into that town and see what damage has been done.
They entered, there were of course tears, but initially those were tears of gratitude for those who allowed this re-entry to happen. But then the other conflicting emotions soon followed, so people had, for the first time, for many of them, an opportunity to confront what was their worst nightmare. And so they're going through that element of grief, and we can acknowledge that they're all at different stages of that, and there are progressions through grief.
358 structures were burned when that wildfire ripped through town. Now, for those that have lost their house, and we saw the same thing happen up in Fort McMurray, there's a group called Team Rubicon. They're made up of veterans, former first responders, and they have the training to go in and sift through the ashes to find some of those lost mementos, those priceless things that people have lost in the fire. We do know that about 65 residents have already signed up to have Team Rubicon go through and look for their lost loved things. And so, you know, it is going to be an extremely slow and painful process for many people, but that process, Abby, is now well underway.
The CBC's Terry Reith in Edmonton.